My name is Steve Sheppard. I will be speaking this afternoon about the business operational aspects of adding retina surgery to an ambulatory surgery center. I'm a managing principal for Medical Consulting Group in Springfield, Missouri, and the bulk of my practice consists of working with physician groups in the development of ambulatory surgery centers and occasionally the management of centers. There are a number of factors that impact directly the success of posterior segment surgery in an ambulatory surgery center. The rest of this discussion will center on kind of a high-level view of some of those factors. And in particular, kind of the goal is to guide you in performing a cost-benefit analysis from the business side on whether it's a good decision to bring retina into your surgery center. The patients tend to be younger. They also have, in many cases, greater disease states, and as a result, probably something closer to 40–50% of the patients are going to be Medicare primary in a posterior segment practice, as opposed to 60 or 70% in an anterior practice. Our experience with our clients has been that on average, commercial payers reimburse for these procedures at a rate roughly 120% of the Medicare allowables. And so that combination of the two things, the payer mix and the average reimbursement of $1,640 for these common procedures, should put you in a position where you can get a pretty good idea of what the total revenue generating potential of posterior segment cases are going to be. I guess from the business perspective, less is more in this situation. If the surgeon is adaptable and willing to work with a smaller tray and less complex instruments, probably made more likely as a result of the development of new technologies for the basic case, the 23 and 25 gauge technology instrumentation allows the ancillary instruments to be minimized. But surgical trays for anterior segment or posterior segment surgery can vary anywhere from $7,000 to $8,000 to much more, depending on the surgeon preference. The other significant element in terms of estimating the financial impact on your facility is what are my case costs. They're well known to most anterior segment surgeons for the procedures that they currently perform in the facility. And depending on the technology the retina surgeon chooses, the surgical packs for the case can really vary anywhere between $325 to $600 per case. That doesn't include some ancillary products that are used somewhat sparingly, hopefully, in the facility, silicone oil or perfluoron, which can add anywhere from $350 to another $600 per case. Interestingly enough, in our experience, the 20 gauge kind of legacy equipment is now used most often in the really difficult cases where the patient has high disease states. And so it's kind of counterintuitive, but we're actually finding that the average marginal costs for doing cases in ASCs are higher with the use of the 20 gauge equipment, even though the basic pack is generally significantly less expensive. And finally, there are a number of qualitative factors. I've spent most of the time up to now discussing the quantitative factors associated with bringing retina into your ASC. But the qualitative aspects really relate to the surgeon. The surgeon, in an ideal world, is the phrase I've used down through the years, is ASC friendly. They need to understand that it is reasonable and desirable to focus on the efficiency of the case and through which care is provided. Not to compromise patient care. Patient care remains the prime objective of the facility, but profit is neither literally nor figuratively a four-letter word, and so we need to ensure we're on the same page with the surgeon. We would like to see a profile for the surgeon where, for these common cases, their average intraoperative time is anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes, that they have a willingness to adapt their procedures and instrumentation to the ASC environment and work with the medical director and the clinical director to bring the cases in on a cost-effective basis. One additional point, and perhaps the final major point, is labor costs. There's a lot of confusion in the marketplace about the impact of labor costs on the profitability of the cases and the feasibility of the cases. From that perspective, what you're typically interested in is not your average cost and the number of people on your staff. It's, if I didn't do this case, who would I send home? And in the cases of retina surgery, where the throughput is typically slower, certainly, than cataract surgery, the staff that would be directly involved in patient care will typically consist of a pre-op nurse, circulator, an instrument tech, and a recovery nurse. In the major metropolitan areas, the fully burdened cost of those individuals probably would average somewhere around $40 an hour. So your true labor costs, or your marginal labor costs associated with adding a retina case, is somewhere between $150 and $200 an hour. It's a good element of patient care. It broadens your patient mix in the subspecialty of ophthalmology. It can also be profitable, as well as a positive asset for your ASC.